talking about Roe versus Wade.
What is it? Roe versus Dwayne? I don't think we got no new Roe versus Dwayne. That might be a new one that I ain't heard of yet. But I think what you're trying to say is Roe v. Wade.
Yes, Roe v. Wade.
She talking about Dwayne Wade case. That's something totally different. Him and his son. We're not gonna be talking about Roe v. Dwayne Wade. We're gonna be talking about the women's abortion rights. Get into the controversy behind that. And also talk about how it impacts men's rights. And how everyone doesn't really necessarily see how it impacts men's rights. I think that's what she was trying to say. Now.
Exactly. That was what I was trying to say. Thank you so much, Tony, comedian Tony. So what I do want to start with is the fact of what Roe v. Wade, what is that? What was that put in place for? What is that behind? Do you know, like?
Yeah. So basically, it was a case law of a woman in Texas, and this dude who keep walking back and forth here. He should have been aborted, to be honest. Looks like
Tony!
I'm just kidding. Anyway,
wait.
It started.
Wait a minute.
What? What is he doing with his life? He just walking back and forth, trying to be in the podcast, man. Like, go, you know what I'm saying? Drive for Uber or something. What is you doing? You a waste of good air. Anyway.
Okay, go ahead.
So anyway, it started with a woman in Texas who sued, basically saying that she had the right to have her own abortion. Supreme Court, and ended up supporting that ruling.
Ruling in her favor.
But the government's case now is basically pro-life, basically taking a life versus the rights of women as individuals. So that it's kind of like where you stand at now. Versus, are you okay with a woman having the choice to do what she wants? Or are you saying that this fetus is a life at a certain point, and so if you get an abortion, you're killing the child, so to speak, right? So,
and this individual, this lady's name is Norma McCorvey, and this was like back in the 70s when this situation took place.
And the name Roe, they use Roe to disguise her real name for privacy purposes, which was this lawsuit was about as well.
Jane Roe, actually, to disguise, and so. The thing about it is this, when you get into this topic, and as we were speaking about it, but when you get into this topic about a woman's right of her body, it's not just about women. And it's like, even when I'm like doing research and listening to the different perspectives of this whole situation, it's really a Democratic and Republican situation. Mm-hmm. And it's with them deciding and feeling like, okay, the Republicans are trying to, people actually believe that the Republicans are trying to set us back, and then the Democrats are trying to push us forward. Because truthfully speaking, when you do give, the government party to actually have the right to speak on or make the decisions of what we do with our bodies, and put in laws and positions to take away our freedom of speech, our freedom of free will, then that's going to take it and escalate it to more things and more situations, taking laws to control what we do with our own bodies.
And I think the government's position is, and I'm not saying that I agree with this, they're saying that the child has the right to be born. Right? Okay. So they're saying they're protecting the life of the child. So now the debate is, whose right is priority? The right of the woman to have the child, or the right of the child to actually be born and have life? Whatever side you are on that, that's your side, that's your right. I'm not saying I'm on either, whatever. I can't speak on that, right? I'm not a woman. I've never had a child. That's one of those things where men shouldn't, that's not your battle, so to speak. Me personally, I feel like a woman should have the right to do what she wants with her body. Like, you got the right to give me that coochie if you want to. You know what I'm saying? That's your right. You can do that, so to speak. So you got the right to do with your body what you want to do. I don't, it doesn't necessarily make any difference to me. But I see the point where women have, where they feel like, how can you tell me what to do with my body? I mean, I see how that can be, frustrating to say the least.
So, and this is another thing that I was seeing in research. So basically the law was put into place to say, okay, the first trimester, you can have an abortion and it's not going to cause any problems. The second trimester is questionable, to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. If you're going to abort this baby, are you aborting it because it's, it's altering for the person's life? Like, it's going to, be a traumatic situation where it's a health risk if you carry this baby full term, if this child is going to have any type of medical conditions.
Right.
Normally, when it's in the second trimester, they try to determine that. You go through that process of determining if it's something wrong with the child is normal. And if it's something wrong with the child, then they do give you that option to abort the baby.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is this. So, of course, and another thing, in the third trimester, of course, you're not allowed to have an abortion. Not
Even
legally.
now, you can't.
No.
Like, as of now, you can't.
In the third trimester, you're not supposed to have an abortion. You're basically killing a child. Because in the third trimester, when a baby and a fetus is in the third trimester, they can actually live outside of the womb.
Gotcha. Right.
So you're not supposed to abort in the third trimester. But this is my thing. When a woman, decides that she's pregnant, and in situations like, I'm a firm believer, like, and this is another thing, and I'm gonna speak on that later, but I'm a firm believer in, when you prepare yourself for situations, then you prevent that, the what ifs or the pregnancy scare. Then you use contraceptives, to make sure that you don't even have to get to that step. Because like when you're young, like, we all went through those phases of having to go through an abortion. And I know that my take and my feelings of abortions when I was younger is totally different how I feel now.
Right.
I don't feel like that is okay to have an abortion for me, not for everybody.
Right.
Because some women are raped.
Right.
Some women are in situations where they're bullied into abortions.
Yeah.
And they don't have a choice. And then sometimes a circumstantial life situations, financial stability.
Yeah.
Why allow a woman to bring a child into this world and she's not even able to care for this child?
Absolutely.
Like, that's more bearance on the government, actually, because like I was watching this, and the truth being is it's not going to be in all of the states. It's going to be in half of the states, right? And 13 of those states are not going to allow you to have abortions if this is to be overturned. If Roe v. Wade is to be overturned, then you're not going to be able to have the abortions, right? So you're going to have the successful women, the women that are financially stable, they're allowed to travel to these other places where you can have an abortion, and they're able to afford that. But for the people that can't travel, that means that they're not financially stable, and then they're going to be relying on the government to take care of them and that baby.
I just want to make one point I just want to clarify one point that you're making. You're saying that if a woman can't afford to have a child, then she has the right to say, I shouldn't have this child because I can't afford it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Right.
Because if you're in that predicament, which I'm going to say this, a child, naturally, if you're a responsible individual and you have morals and character and all that good stuff, then yes, a child, if you're not financially stable, you will do the necessary steps to progress to get to that place of saying, okay, I'm going to make sure I am, prepared for this child. When this child gets here, I'm going to do what it takes to take care of my child. It actually matures you as a person, right? As an adult. But for someone that does not have, the means, or even not even just the resources, someone that does not have the mental stability to say, well, you know what, I got to do what I need to do to take care of this child, then they're going to rely on the government to take care of their children. Right. Or just abandon that child. Right. Because we see cases like this all the time where girls are taking and throwing their babies in the garbage can. Right. So you think that it's a problem for her to kill that fetus while it's a blood clot. Yeah. Versus her having that baby full term and taking and tossing the baby in the trash can. Yeah. That's better.
And let's be clear.
Because that's what we're going to have more situations of.
By banning abortions, you're not going to stop it. You're just making it illegal. They're going to do that.
You're not going to stop it.
It's like, you can make marijuana illegal all you want. People are going to smoke marijuana.
Exactly.
They tried it with alcohol in the prohibition period. All they did was people bootlegged it. They sold it. So all you're doing is creating an atmosphere where women are going to go break the law, or even go to places like women go now to Dominican Republic, get these BBLs, and their whole booty falling out. You know what I'm saying? All you're going to do is these women going to go to Dominican Republic, get an abortion and the BBL at the same time. I ain't gonna say what I was going to say, but so all you're doing
I think I'm going to go to Dominican Republic to get me a BBL.
Yeah, I'm going to get this baby taken out. And while you at it, put something in my ass too, just in case.
Put the fat in my ass.
While I'm here, take the... I ain't going to say what I want to say.
Oh my God. Please don't say what you want to say.
Don't say what I want to say, because we'll get demonetized. And right now we're making a whole 17 cents on this, so we don't want to mess that up. So, give my pen, man. I done threw my pen over there, man. Thank you. So yeah, definitely. Those are definitely good points. So what do y'all think about it, man? Y'all leave some comments in the comment. What do y'all think? Y'all think women should be allowed to have abortion? They shouldn't be allowed to have them. What's y'all taking it, ladies? Y'all let us know what y'all think. All right. But here's what a lot of people don't think about. You know, you made a good point where you said if a woman can't afford a baby, all right, then she should have the right to say, you know, I'm not gonna have it. Are men afforded those same rights? If a man cannot afford to have a child, can a man say, I can't afford it, I don't want anything to do with it? You can have a child if you want to, but I'm not gonna have anything to do with it.
Tony, I love this topic, and when I say I had this conversation all the time, and it's funny because my mindset it's different from the average woman. This is what I feel. I feel like this. In those situations where a woman decides that, okay, we laid down together, we decided to have sex, we agreed to not use protection because he can't come in you raw without you agreeing to it, unless you were raped in that situation.
Unless there's some stealthing involved.
Okay, exactly. And so you both agreed on it as an adult decision. But then before, and I'm sure this conversation came up, listen, I don't really want any kids right now. Yeah, of course, I don't want no kids. You know, you're going to say what you got to say. But then after the fact, now when you want to entrap the situation, this person, whoever it is, you want to entrap someone, then you decide to get pregnant.
Yeah.
And then now this man, although he's already made it clear to you that, you know, he was just really trying to hit.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're making this hit situation a permanent situation by trying to keep this baby.
Right.
When although this man has already discussed that, I feel like this. If in any situation, it should not be the responsibility of the man to take care of a child that he did not even want in the first place. He didn't, when he laid down with that act, and I understand we're all adults and we should try to prevent certain situations, but even when we don't do that, I think it should be a decision between the two people. And if the woman does not agree with the man's decision, of course, it's her body and she gets to do what she wants. I feel like it is up to that man to have the decision whether he wants to be a part of that child's life and carry the responsibility as well, because it's life altering when you have a child.
Absolutely.
So imagine, and this is the thing, we're as women are upset because the government is getting ready to control what we do with our bodies. How do you think a man feels that he's being controlled in a situation where his whole life is being altered because a woman decides she want to have a baby? So now whatever career goals, whatever dreams, however, whatever time period that he has set up, timeline that he has set up for himself, like, okay, I want to go to college at this point, and I want to do, this career at this point, and I want to move to this state at this point in my life, and then I'll come back here and settle down, meet a woman, have a family, get married. Maybe he want to get married first. Who knows?
Right.
But that is taken from him because a woman has the power. She holds all the cards in that situation.
Absolutely.
I don't think that that's fair.
Absolutely, I agree. And I think you better be careful because you're going to have some hits on your head after expressing those opinions. They're probably going to shut down this whole, they're going to take your permit and everything after what you just said. But I'm very surprised to hear, a woman say those things because, you're absolutely right. You said so many things there. I'm trying to figure out what I want to address first. But most women will say that argument, you should have thought about that before you slept with it. Before you put your little tallywhack in or that way, you should have thought about it. But you make a good point in that you both decided to lay down. So that cancels each other out. Here's another point. There's only one contraceptive for men, which is condoms. There are over 90 different forms of contraceptives for women. Mm-hmm. Right? That's something that we don't discuss. So if we're going to talk about, we should have thought about that before we lay down, whatever. I think that's something that we should think about too. So again, I don't think it should be about pointing fingers, who's at fault, or what quote unquote should be. Let's look at the reality of things. A man has no right or say on whether a child is born. Women have access to sex and whether a child is born or not, where men have access to relationships and marriage, right? We control that, and women basically control that. Is the world fair? No, it is not. There's nowhere in the world where life is fair. So even though, this is true, these disparities are true, listen, man, we got to deal with it. Ain't no protest now. There ain't no Roe v. Dwayne Wade out here. You know what I'm saying?
Roe versus Wade.
Ain't no marches out here for lower child support. Lower child support. If that's your child, you gonna pay for that baby. And sometimes, even if it ain't your child,
you gonna pay for that baby.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And that's a whole nother issue we'll get into. I don't want to get too much off topic, but that should be fraud. Women should go to jail for making people pay for babies that they know damn well was not that man's child.
Was not.
18 years later, this man find out, and what happened? Oh, well. Is she made to pay back 18-year child support? No, she ain't. But if a man find out that the child is his 18 years later, this man got $267,000 of back child support.
Right.
And he ain't even know nothing about it. You see what I'm saying? And it's a form of controlling a man's body, right? Because now he has to work day and night. They say he needs to get an extra job to pay child support for a child that A, he may or may not even want it, and B, he may or may not even be able to see based on whether the woman wants to or not. And so, again, I know a lot of females out there or women, because they say females degrading now, I don't know, but I know a lot of women out there, y'all would disagree to that. But just like men can't speak on women and their abortion rights because they've never faced that, a woman has never been in a family court law as a man for them to tell you when you can and cannot see your own child, right? So ladies, imagine, right, where the government say, hey, you can only see your child every other weekend. You would huff and puff and blow the house down, right? That's something that men face daily. And just because, you don't hear about it, right, because men don't, no one cares about men problems, right? Society takes care of women and children. Men, you just got to deal with it on your own. But that's a lot of things that people don't even see. So imagine having a child where you can't even see when you want to see, and you paying, child support. Here's the thing people understand. People equate child support to money when you can't put a dollar on the amount of actually spending time with your child, raising your child, teaching your child something only a father can teach them. It's not come on now. It's not about support. It's about dollars. So let's stop acting like, oh, you ain't paying me no money. You don't care for your child. Well, give up the child. Let the man take the child, so to speak. So, that's just my view on that, thus far.
Okay, so let me say this. Now, there are no laws governing what a man does with his body. Nothing. But there are laws and position and parties and politicians that want to speak on and control what women do, right? And this is my thing. You made a point, as referencing the fact that, okay, there isn't any laws in place for a man and his rights, right? Where there are no laws that are obligating you to say, well, I gotta not get pregnant because I won't have the say so over my own body. There's nobody no Supreme Courts trying to put nothing in place. So yeah, I do agree with you too when you say, men don't have rights, but then also there is no one against men trying to put laws in position to basically protect you from your own body, what's growing inside of you. That's like telling a woman you can't go get a BBL. Like, how can you even imagine? How can you fathom something that is a part of your body? Just like say if you had something defective, a deformity that you wanted to remove from you. To me, it's the same thing. The only difference is a fetus. No, you shouldn't kill a baby, in the third trimester because it's actually a baby, but a blood clot in the first trimester?
Yeah. I think there's extenuating circumstances for everything, right? I mean, of course there are instances where, where you should get an abortion. But again, I can't speak on that. I feel like that's on a woman to decide whether she can do what she wants to do with her body or not. I think the point I'm trying to make here, she decides to have the baby, the impact that it has on the father, regardless of how he felt, what he's going through. And most people would say, oh, well, He should have thought about that before he did so and so.
I mean,
but look at the Drake case though. You had a woman who went in the trash can and got this man's condom, tried to get the sperm out of the condom and drip it down into a stinking coochie to try to get pregnant. And that's why Drake had to put hot sauce in it.
Right. And then she actually had the right to take him.
She had the nerve to sue her little hot coochie self. Because her coochie spicy now.
So this man took every necessary precaution to protect himself. At least try to, and this is another thing. You can use, this is the only protection that a man, you said that. The only contraceptive that a man has is a condom. You can use a condom and still get pregnant. You can use a condom and a woman can still get pregnant, right? So really a man doesn't really have any contraceptive. But for Drake, he used the condom.
He did everything right.
He took every necessary step. Most men don't even use protection, but he did. And then he is facing charges or, lawsuits.
She tried to sue him civilly. Yeah, of course. They threw that crap out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's ridiculous.
But the mere fact that he knew
protect yourselves. Protect at all costs. Listen, this is my thing. I understand that perspective that you have, that a man doesn't have any rights. I mean, he does have rights. The thing about it is that he does not stand up for his rights. I've had so many conversations with men that I've dated, guys, listening to their stories where, they're paying child support, but they're not even allowed to see their child. You have the right to see your child. You just have to get yourself legitimized. You have to take the necessary steps to go to court, get your parental rights, take that individual to court, get your parental rights so you can see your child when you want to see your child. But most importantly, the thing that I think that people should take the necessary steps is not having sex with somebody that is incompetent or someone that is toxic or someone that is problematic or deceitful or just different things that will play into the role of what's going to happen if you guys do decide to have a child together. You got to be careful who you're laying down with.
I'm going to tell you a story to talk about your first point. And, you and I have been, we've been friends a while, but I think this happened before you and I were friends. I got a little girl, and, of course, me and the mother are not together. But initially, we were together, but we weren't married. We separated. That's when I come to find out about legitimization and all that, right?
Right.
I took her to court, got the baby legitimized. And in Georgia, when you do legitimization, you also go through the child support, which I was fine. I didn't care none about no money. I want to see my daughter. So hired an attorney. Mind you now, this is not cheap stuff. Again, another reason why family law court is just an atrocious environment for men, because they're going to take you for every dollar you can, and you may or may not come out on top. Make a long story short, we end up getting joint custody. She has joint physical, where I see my little girl every other weekend per court order. Period. How you say?
Period.
Period. Okay, now watch this. The mother, who shall remain nameless, okay? I ain't gonna bad talk.
You gonna call her Jane Doe?
I ain't gonna bad. I'm gonna call her Ro.
Jane Ro.
I'm gonna call her Ro. You know what I'm saying? Because it's still my little girl mama, so I ain't gonna be disrespectful like that, shot. So I'm gonna just tell you what happened. She decided to say, "Oh, you can't see her. We're going out of town. Oh, she can't do. Hold on.
Oh, she got practice this weekend.
She got practice. How you knew? There must be like a code, like a manual that women have. She got volleyball practice. I said, nah. You know what? I value and I cherish my time. You know what? I want to do this. Took her back to court, Your Honor. She denied me visitation rights as granted to me by the courts. As you, I just turned into an attorney, Your Honor, if you will, exhibit A. The text message where she said, "Damn the judge, take me to court. I don't give a damn. You ain't gonna see your child this weekend." Your Honor. You know what that judge told me? I started to call her name.
Please don't.
Do you know what that judge called me?
Not on camera.
Not call me. Do you know what that judge told me?
What?
This woman that denied me, I couldn't see my little girl. Right now, watch this. If a man don't pay child support, what's gonna happen to him?
He's gonna lose his license. He can go to jail because if he get
lose your job, go to jail. So when we talking about money, right? We hold this man accountable up until the point taking his freedom. But when you talk about actually spending time with your child, parenting time, that a man is denied, you know what that judge said to me? What you want me to do? Do you know I wanted to strangle this joker in the courtroom? I see why I see why they got a whole TV show, Court TV, Court Gone Wild. This woman looked at me and said, "What you want me to do? I'm not gonna put her in jail." I said, "Your Honor, I'm not asking you to put her in jail. I'm just asking you to hold her accountable and let her know that is not acceptable.
Exactly.
This is time that I can't get back with my daughter."
That's another thing too, and that's the crazy thing. You got to be careful with what judge you go before, because some people are not actually, taking the law in regard of their job. Because it sounds to me that she was just pro-woman. Because the actual thing, this is the way it goes. If, say for instance, y'all had the situation where she was picking your daughter up. You had your daughter, right? And you're supposed to be bringing the daughter back on Sunday. If you decided to not bring your child back on time, she could call the police. You could be arrested.
Kidnapping. Absolutely. So why ain't women charged with kidnapping when you deny the rights of the father? See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? Yo, what y'all think about that? Comment below. I already know the comments is going wild. I don't give a damn. Stop holding these kids from their daddies. Now, I'm talking about the good daddies. Now, I ain't talking about the ones that just don't do nothing. I'm talking about the daddies that want to do right. Quit holding them kids hostage against their daddies because they don't want to give you the wood no more. It's not your turn. It's the next woman. All right, and we are back. Thank you to our sponsorship, Atlanta Homeless Shelter. We appreciate all the dollars that you donated and all the representatives that you have sent to us. We're back. What were we talking about again, Jasmine? What's the problem? Gotta pay the bill. Gotta shout out the sponsors, baby.
So
shout out to Atlanta Homeless Shelter. You're doing your thing. We appreciate it. All the FUBU sweaters you sent over. The Fat Farm jeans.
You know what? So what I'm going to speak on is, I understand, how you feel in your situation, but I also want to say this. To me, I feel like you got to be careful in the decision making of people that you make permanent decisions with. Some people are just in your life for a season. When I think about my situation, with my ex-husband and my son, we're no longer together. But of course, we don't have a child support situation in place, even though through our divorce decree, they did implement, the custodial rights and the amount of money that they felt he should be obligated to pay. However, I allow him to pay, what he feels he wants to pay. And normally we kind of work that out pretty well. And then also when it comes to visitation, I let pretty much, like, my son is at the age now, he's 12 years old. I let him really decide, I don't give it to him solely as, it's your, what you want to do. Because there's times where he's like, well, I want to, be with my friends, or I want to, go to my football practice, so I can't go with my dad. So in those situations, I do kind of talk with his dad and work with him on that. But I have never in no point held my son as a pawn in the situation and saying, oh, you can't see him, or you can't. I didn't do that to him, because that affects the child. You might be trying to control the situation temporarily, mm-hmm. because you're trying to upset that parent, mm-hmm. Or control that individual. But it's a long-term, trauma for the child to be in the middle of foolishness when it comes to being able to see their dad or their mom, or however the case may be. So a lot of times, you have some women that use children as a pawn. And I guess in this situation with my ex, I guess he feels lucky because he made a decision with someone that is actually level-headed. Like, I like to feel that I am actually balanced when it comes to a lot of things. So when it comes to fairness in that situation, I don't drag him through the mud. I don't disturb his peace. I don't get involved in what he has going on. I don't really care. Do what you need to do for your child. That's all that matters to me.
Right.
But I know, in the case where some women, where they're still, bitter or upset or whatever the case may be, revengeful, then they're doing things to aggravate the other party involved in that situation. And I just feel like it's not fair to the child.
Yeah. Initially you made the point about, being basically being careful who you procreate with, right?
Yes.
Picking your partner.
Procreate, I like that word.
I think
y'all know what that means. I'm joking.
I think a lot of people would agree that it's all good when it's all good, right? Meaning, let's say if we were to get everything's good while everything's good, but the moment I say I don't want to be with you anymore, right? People change, things change, circumstances change, time changes people, right? So you can't always vet that individual as much as you want, but that's why I always say you should be with someone in all seasons before you decide a future with them, right?
Ooh.
Right. Make sure be with them when they're mad, when they're sad, when they're angry. Because I think we all know, when a woman is mad, she's gonna tell you about yourself now. You always want to see how a person behaves in times of adversity. Because everybody can be cool when things are all good, but how does a person conduct themselves when things don't go their way? And I think that's a true reflection of their character. My second point, we talked about allowing the child to decide what parent they want to go with. And I think this is where the father figure comes in at, because the father figure is supposed to be that disciplinary role. The mother's a nurturer, the father's disciplinary, meaning the child don't know what's best for him. He may want to go hang out with his friends this weekend, but he may not understand why it's important that he be with his father this weekend, or he get his parenting time with his father this weekend. That's why the court don't allow them to make that decision.
Right.
If the man has a parenting time, then he has a right to that parenting time. Now, absolutely should be considered, they got something going on, that's cool.
Right.
But, even now, sometimes my little girl might say, oh, can I stay baby, you ain't seen me in a few months now. You only been, come on up here. And they don't even realize, oh, wow, yeah, I should have came up here. But the fathers usually play that disciplinary role. Now, this is what you need to do. This is why you need to do it. And help them to understand, to do things that they may not understand why at that point.
Well, the father don't. You see, you're saying the father always. The father doesn't always play the disciplinary role. That's not true in every case.
Not every case, but generally, the disciplinary is a man's role.
It is a man's role,
right?
But
so, of course, there are circumstances where it isn't. But the mother is typically the nurturer, the father is the disciplinary.
So you're saying that's what society says, that the mom should be the nurturer and the father should be the disciplinary.
It's not what society say. That's what has been the beginning of time. It's in a woman's nature to be the nurturer. Right? And women want men to be the protector and the provider.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I think we're trying to say, oh, there's no such thing as gender roles until it's time to be a protector and provider. Then there's a such thing as gender roles, right? When we want to agree to what's good for that individual. But one of the roles as a man, as a father, is to be that disciplinary for that child. So no, this is it. This is why. Whatever. And hopefully that woman picked a good leader who can do that in the effective level.
Absolutely, because I'm gonna tell you, and that's the funny thing. I am. I'm not going to say that, but I'm gonna say this. When you are picking someone that you want to deal with, I think that it is best that people have children, at a certain age, because, you're going through different phases. And I'm a firm believer. You go through different phases in your life. So many different phases, You're constantly evolving. So what you may have liked when you were 18, 20, 25, by the time you hit 30, you're not going to like that. That's not going to be the same type of interest. It's not going to intrigue you the same way. So when you're having children with someone, or the people that you're laying down with, or whatever, you just need to make sure, like you touched on, that you experience different seasons with them. And I think that is so important. Like, people ask me all the time, are you going to have more kids?
Yeah.
I do. I love kids. I absolutely, when I say that's like, to me, the best thing on this earth are children. I absolutely adore children, but I try to make sure that I experience all of the seasons with people, because you have a child with somebody, and when I tell you, that's just like my last relationship, like totally, like great person, love to death, right? We have a great friendship. Like we love each other, right? The thing about it is that when it's time to part ways with someone, it's a difference when you can part ways and decide that, okay, we are deciding mutually to still coexist and be friends.
Right.
Or when it's a forceful situation where I have to coexist with you because I have a child with you.
Right.
Then it's like so many different pressures into that situation.
Right.
And so many different personalities and characteristic traits that tap into that situation. And it's like, it's a good feeling when you can just walk away from something and have no ties to it.
Right. Absolutely.
Versus when you got to walk away, but you still got to deal with this person. Like,
yeah, it's so ironic you mentioned that, because I think that's another thing we have in common. I only have one child as well, right?
Right.
And that's because I'm so meticulous about the partner that I choose.
Yes.
Now, right, because of what I learned the first time. So I know that whoever I have a child with now is someone who I'm going to want to be with. Like, I'm going to want to marry, because I want that family dynamic. I don't want I want to be in the home with my child, raising them as a family. So if I don't see myself with this individual, no, we're not about to have a child. Absolutely not.
Exactly. And I see in a lot of cases where people don't learn from their mistakes.
Yeah.
People will do the same thing 1,000 times.
It's hard, man. When that thing wet, man, it's hard. It's just like, woo. It's hard to pull out, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can do it, I'm good, but it's hard, man. So, everybody ain't able, but we do what we can when we can. But at the end of the day, that's what we were put on earth to do, procreate.
We were.
That's the whole purpose of life, is to keep life
free
going.
Will. It absolutely, but then it's also free will, because just because you lay down with this man, you have some people that have one night stands. And I mean, I've been in conversations with people where they've literally had one night stands. You don't want to have no baby out of one night stand. Or even some Jody that don't want to take care. He don't take care of the kids he got now. What make you think he gonna take care of yours?
Right.
That's another thing with women.
Right.
Women feel like in some kind of way I can change him.
Yeah.
You cannot change him.
Women.
He has to change. He has to see you as the one.
Let me tell you.
If he don't.
In the comments, do you think that you can change that man? Let me know. I hope you say hell no. If not, get the hell off the channel. Listen, important point. You got to allow people to be who they are.
Ooh.
Stop trying to change. You can't change nobody. Look at a person. Again, I say this all the time. A person's actions will tell you more than their words ever will. Watch them. Let them be who they are. And then you make that decision on whether you want to continue to be with them or not in any type of capacity. But we have to take accountability of who we allow in our lives. And in that aspect, you got to understand where you're going in your life. What's your purpose? What are you doing? And they'll tell you the people you should have around you. And what's the saying? I think it was, I forgot who said it, but it said, if you look at the people around you, it says a lot about you as an individual. Right. Look at the people around you, it says a lot about you. So,
yeah,
what's your goal in life? What are you doing? And you should surround yourself with people that can help you get to that goal. If not, let them ride. There's a lot of toxic people. There's a lot of good coochie attached to toxic women. I'm telling you, man. You got to make that decision. It's tough. It's like they did it on purpose. Let me put this coochie on this toxic girl. I'm going to test him. And it's just, we failed the test. We failed.
So you saying the ones that aren't toxic, they got the bad coochie?
I don't know. Because that's a whole nother topic. Because I feel like the men determine how good it is. You know what I'm saying? If it ain't wet, fellas, it's your fault. If it ain't wet, that's on you. You supposed to get it wet. That's your job. That's for a whole nother podcast.
Oh, right that is.
Make sure when y'all comment, y'all put the timestamp in the comments so we know exactly what part of the podcast you're talking about too.
Absolutely. That is a whole nother good topic.
Yeah, good wet topic too.
You can't just, some situations they think they can just jump right on into it. I mean, if she ain't feeling you like that, you can't jump into it. But if she is, you can.
And literally, if she ain't feeling it, I mean, she just ain't feeling it. Ain't nothing that you can do about that. If she ain't feeling it, you got move on, player. Move on. This coochie was whack. No, she just didn't feel nothing. She just wasn't there for her. Use your finger. I'm using 3. So, is that pretty much it? I mean, we good? We done talked about everything? Shout out again to our sponsors.
Oh, my God. You a straight up clown.
Yeah.
So, I do feel like when we talk about the concept of, the Roe v. Wade, I do feel like ultimately women should have the decisions whether they abort a baby or not. And that's really what we were touching on in this episode, Roe v. Wade. And of course, you agreed. You feel like women should have the right, but then you also touched on the fact that you feel like men should have a right too.
Well, I think here's another aspect that we don't look at. What about the man who wants to have the child, right? What about a man who wants to have a family, wants to have a child, but the woman doesn't necessarily want to do it?
Because he's a scrub.
Well, I mean, you lay down with that scrub, did you not? I mean, he was scrub. He sure was scrubbing it.
To the ground.
Scrubbed the ground. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't that bad. Just slept with him, you know. So
maybe he was good enough for that transaction, but not nothing permanent.
I mean, again, in reality, should that man say no? Right? The woman should have to say so. But I just think it's a reflection of how society doesn't really care about what men go through, right? It's just men just have to deal with it. Like look at the homeless rate, men, suicide rate, men, prison rate, men. These are just things that men got to deal with, right? Men have to create their value while women are born with value, so to speak, right? Society is going to take care of women and children. Bottom line.
Yeah, that is so true. You speaking on something so true. Like society, they do absolutely protect the woman to a certain extent. They will take care of a woman, even when I see in situations where women that are on Section 8, the man is not allowed to be in that household. And my thing is this, you got a lot of single dads.
Yeah.
You got a lot of single dads. I have, come in contact with guys that are raising their kids by themselves, either in a situation where the mom has passed away or the mom is just out there, she for the streets.
Yeah.
She for the streets.
For the street, for the intergalactic highway, for I-95. But
in that situation, in that sense, the man is not allowed to have the same benefits that a woman would have.
Yeah. And most who know would argue that the government does that on purpose because they want the separation of certain families, right?
Certain.
We all know who that is, right? They want to separate certain cultures,
right?
To demasculate men, have women be on their own, raise kids on their own, and divide and conquer, so to speak, right? So if you want this house, you can't have no man in here. And you strong, independent, but you single too. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. In those situations where the woman is on Section 8, she definitely got a man in the house. The type of man it is, that's the questionable part. But she definitely got a man in there, and he ain't paying no bills. and
she ain't paying no bills. Ain't no bills to pay, but $8 a month.
But obviously, if you with a man, and let me say this: if you're with a man and you're on Section 8. If this man is not saying, hey, we're going to use this situation to our advantage and we're going to put all this money up that I'm making, that whatever we were supposedly paying for rent, we're going to stack this money up so we can go ahead and purchase a house or something.
Yeah.
If that's not the type of man you with, then obviously he's a susceptible man to what society says. He's not even worth even having a family with, first of all. So at the end of the day, the government is trying to break up homes, but what type of man is that want to live in this Section 8 house with you and not even be putting up the money that y'all are actually saving?
Absolutely. Fellas, you got to know.
The video game, he's not even working on the job, actually.
If you can afford
so
PS5.
So you shouldn't even want him around your kids.
What video game he playing, PS5 or Atari?
Probably.
If he playing Atari, he probably live under the bridge. He ain't even Section 8, Section 4.
Guys, I want to thank you for tuning in. Make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe.
Also, follow our social media, man. Follow me on Instagram at comedian Tony Love. That's Tony Love, TonyLove. If you don't know how to spell comedian, don't even worry about it. I don't even need you to follow. Okay, we're good on that. All right.
Follow me at I_Jaibella. That's Jai Bella, and you can hit the
Bella. How many L's? Bella, right? 2 L's.
Yes, 2 L's.
Specify now. Specify.
If you don't know how to spell Bella, I do not need you as a follower.
Is Bella a word though? I don't think Bella is a real word.
It is. It's beautiful. It means beautiful.
In Spanish.
Yes.
So they don't know how to spell in Spanish? You think you got that kind of audience members here? We ain't got nothing but 4 people watching. I doubt they know how to speak Spanish. Bella.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe, and leave your comments on how you felt about the subject topic that we covered today.